Hola chicos, buenas tardes y bienvenidos a esta clase corta de Spanish Immersion Rincon. Welcome everyone to this evening session. It's going to be a short session but packed with lots of really great information for you guys. What is the goal with this session? Today, I'm going to give you a mini sample of what you will see when you are part of my program, Fast Track Intensive Spanish, which starts on February 10th, just next week. So I thought that I've gotten a few questions from people. Everywhere I go, people ask me questions, Spanish questions, like how do you say this or why do we say this? So I thought that I will put together a session today where I answer some of those questions that most people have. And then if you happen to pop in, you're welcome to also ask your own questions. And then I will answer them for you live. I did have a little bit of a glitch with the Facebook connection. So there is a chance that if you want to be part of this session, you have to be live on my Zoom room, where then we will interact live and then I will answer your questions for you. So let's get started. I guess the first thing I want to do is introduce myself. My name is Ana Isabel, and I'm the creator and founder of Spanish Immersion Rincon. I created this program in different facets. Well, I started Spanish Immersion Rincon back in 2012. And I have served many, many students from Puerto Rico, from other parts of the world, and those who are interested in moving to the island or moving to anywhere where they speak Spanish. As we know, Puerto Rico is very unique in the way we teach Spanish. We speak Spanish here. We have our own intonation, our own cadence, and other parts of the world have their own words, their own idioms, but in general, Spanish is Spanish. So the focus of my program is Latin American Spanish with an emphasis in Puerto Rican Spanish. So in each lesson, you learn how we say it in Latin America, but how do we say it in Puerto Rico? And then, of course, there are parts of the lessons where I teach you, this is how you say it in Spain, because Spain is our mother tongue. However, Spain is a very different Spanish than the one that we have in Latin America and especially in Puerto Rico. So I hope that with today's lesson, you will be able to capture a little bit of the essence of the Puerto Rico Spanish. And when I share this and you watch the replay, if you have any questions, just post them below in the comments, and then I'm going to answer every single question from you guys. So let's just get started. And I am going to share my screen with you guys. Give me one quick second here so I can find exactly where we want to go. Perfecto. Aquí estamos. Okay. Here we go. So in today's session, like I said, this is a very informal session. It's just more a Q&A. Let's get to know each other, answer some of the questions that most people have. But I do want to start with something really, really important. And I was thinking about that as I was preparing for the class tonight. How important mindset is in learning a language, and especially when we're learning a language as an adult. Why is this so important? Because when you think about it, as an adult, when we're children, we don't care if we're running around and we fall and everybody sees us and we just fall tumbling down. It's cute and funny, or we might scratch our face or do whatever we want. We don't even think about, we don't have this self-conscious thing. But when we become adults, we're so worried about looking silly. We're so worried about having to learn something new when we're so good at the things that we already know how to do, those things that we master. So when we learn a language, there is a certain amount of humbleness that we have to use, because we have to understand that we are teaching ourselves something new, that is not as tangible of like learning how to do something physical. We're learning something mental. Not only that it's something mental, but it's something that we have to learn to be able to remember and apply and then continue to develop. So one of the main things that I want to talk about today is mindset. We're also going to learn to identify some of the sounds in Spanish that really give away our English accent. We're also going to learn how to identify ourselves in Spanish. Do we use the verb ser, the verb estar, or the verb tener? And we're going to talk a little bit about how you could work with me if you'd like to be part of our next generation of Spanish speakers with Fast Track Intensive Spanish. So if you're ready, don't click off. Stay tuned because I bet you're going to walk out of this lesson with something good. So grab your pen and pencil and take some notes. Remember, if while I'm talking, a question comes up and you feel like you're stuck and you want me to go over that in a little more detail, just pop the question below in the comments and I will come back and answer the questions for you. And you can also send me, let me put this also here. You can send me a message at my WhatsApp. My WhatsApp, I think I might have added too many letters there, right? Yes. WhatsApp, which is 787-233-5330. You can always, the best way to reach me here is by sending me a WhatsApp message. You can record it or you can type it, but WhatsApp. The phone is not as good. Texting is not that great. WhatsApp is the best way. But you can always message me directly if you need to. You can also send me a message. You can send me a message directly on Facebook in our Spanish Immersion page. You can also email me at Spanish Immersion Rincon at gmail.com. Okay, so those are all the ways that you can reach me. Okay, now that we got that part out of the way, let's talk a little bit about mindset again. So most of you watching right now, you're all adults. I bet you're really good at something you do. There is this one thing that you do that you are on it. You know how to do it. You train yourself. You went to school for it and you master it. So now let's just put in a little scenario. You moved to Puerto Rico and you want to learn how to surf. You were never near the water or maybe visited, but never really been in a place where you can learn how to surf. So now you're like, oh my God, I want to learn how to surf like these people who surf all the time. So you go to the instructor, the coach, and the coach says to you, okay, sure. The first lesson, all we're going to do for an hour is you're going to lay on the board and you're going to learn how to push your arms down and jump up and stand. Maybe. I don't even know if you get that far on lesson 1. But my point is, that's lesson 1. And you come home so excited and you start laying on the ground or on your bed and you're like, oh my God, look at this. I can stand. This is how I do in surfing. My first step of surfing. If you go to take a salsa class, you don't learn how to salsa the first day. The first day, all you learn to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. How to go back, how to go forward. And I tell you this from my own experience because I am ashamed to admit it as a Puerto Rican, but I didn't know how to salsa. So I came back to Puerto Rico after being gone for a while, like many of us have done. And I had my brand new passion for my culture again. And I said, I need to learn how to salsa. So I started taking a salsa class. I went out to this event with my friends, Puerto Rican friends, and I thought I was salsa dancing, and it was so embarrassing. They were like, that's no salsa. What are you doing? You're no salsa dancing. So immediately I signed up in a salsa class. And then the first probably 3 lessons, all I learned was how to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because there's no point on rushing if you are not going to do it right. So it wasn't until like lesson 3 where he said, okay, now we're going to do a little turn. Oh my God, when I learned to do that turn, I came home and I practiced, I don't know how many songs I played just doing the same thing over and over, dancing back and forth on my little turn. And I felt great. So my point is to tell you that it takes time to acquire a new skill, but there's no need to rush it. There's no need to rush it, because if you rush it, first, you're going to miss the fun of learning. Two, you're going to miss a step that might really get you so far in the future, because it's your foundation. So just like we had to put makeup on, the foundation goes first. When you build a house, you have to put the foundation first. When you learn a language, when you learn how to surf, when you learn how to salsa, the foundation has to come first. Is that right? Do you get me? Yes? Do you agree? If you agree with that, please comment below. Sí, es cierto. Sí, sí. Just put sí. Sí, es verdad. O sí. Okay. Perfecto. So now let's go a little more into what I consider to be my mindset talk, my pep talk. So I invite you to take a deep breath and embrace this moment. Whether this is the beginning of your journey with me, learning Spanish in my program, or just simply learning Spanish on your own, learning because you moved to Puerto Rico or you moved to another Spanish-speaking country and you're learning this language. Don't be embarrassed. Don't rush it. Enjoy it. So the first thing I will say is that learning a language is not about memorizing words. It's about opening yourself to new experiences, new ways of thinking, and deeper connections with the people and the culture. So think about that again. New experiences, new ways of thinking, and also creating those deeper connections with the new culture. So if you come here and you're like, I just want to learn Spanish, I just want to try 5 hours of Spanish every day, great, that's great. But there is a world outside of the classroom where you want to go and practice your Spanish, where you want to go and say, okay, today I learned how to say, I am 35 years old. How old are you? And I want to know, I want to practice with real people, because you can finally step out of the Duolingo and step out of the apps and step out of the online recorded programs, and you can have an actual real life experience. So that's one of the things that you get when you take a course with someone who speaks the language, someone who teaches you live. You get to have challenges to practice. So that's the first step. Also, you have plenty of people that if I say your challenge today is to go and ask someone, how are you? Where are you from? And what do you like to do in your free time? Well, guess what? You can just go and find that person outside, because they're everywhere and they're ready to help you. Believe me, Puerto Ricans are the most hospitable people you will ever meet. We love to help, we love to serve. And we love people who want to learn our language, because if you learn our language, you get to know our soul. With that, I will continue. You don't have to be perfect. Progress is the goal. Every mistake is a step towards fluency. So every time you stumble and suddenly, I don't know how to say that. Oh, just forget it. No, just go back to the step one, take a deep breath, and then be like, okay. ¿Cómo se dice? And then you say, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say this? ¿Cómo se dice? Is that correct? ¿Es correcto? ¿Es correcto? ¿Lo que dije? What I said? ¿Lo que dije? So then the person will say, no. Like yesterday, I was with a friend of mine who was one of my students, continues to be one of my students, and she practices with her neighbor. So her neighbor was telling her something about buenas tardes, and she followed by saying, how is your day going? And they had this Spanish conversation, and then my student introduced me as her student to her neighbor, and her neighbor said, oh, qué bueno, que tú eres su maestra, like how nice, you're her teacher. And immediately she turned to my student and translated what she said to me. And then we had a small conversation about rice and about how Puerto Ricans love eating the bottom part of the rice that we call pegao, and that's the hard part of it. And then she was telling my student, her name is Debbie, how she likes to eat the pegao, but she likes to put the sauce from their beans, from when you have rice and beans, the broth from the beans. And so that became a moment to learn something new about the culture. And it's so fun, because every time you just step out of your comfort zone a little bit, you get that opportunity to learn something new. Okay, I won't take a lot of time from you today. I just want to talk to you a little bit like I will be talking to my friend. So I get a little bit of my tangents, but I'll come back in. So every mistake is a step towards fluency. Confidence comes from constant practice, not from knowing everything at once. So every day you practice and you learn, even if you learn 2 words every day and you go and use them. You learn one noun, you learn a verb, you learn an adjective, something to describe. That's it. 3 little words that will change so much your experience when you're learning Spanish. If you don't live in a place where they speak Spanish, you then have other ways of doing that. And I will teach you in my program the ways that we use to practice Spanish when you're not in a Spanish-speaking country. But most people have a Spanish-speaking neighbor, a Spanish-speaking coworker. There is always someone who can help you with your Spanish when they know you're trying to learn. So the more you engage, the more you grow. You're exactly where you need to be. And today is your opportunity to fall in love with the Spanish journey. So now, with that, let's begin. Comencemos. This is going to be a very simple class. Like I told you before, I'm just going to cover a couple of things because I don't want to take a lot of your time. And I will tell you also how you can work with me if what you see in this class you like, and you say, oh my gosh, I kind of want to continue, and the class starts next week. Tell me more about it. All you have to say is send me a DM and ask me to send you more information. We can book a call and I can give you more details about the program. Okay, perfecto. But now let's talk about how to identify sounds in Spanish. ¿Qué significa esto? I am going to try to go to my very handy dandy thing that I put together for you here, which is the a little explanation on how to identify sounds in Spanish. The first thing that these slides are talking about is the challenge of learning to speak Spanish. Most of the time, the easiest thing to do in Spanish is to be able to hear and to read. But it's really hard to be able to speak and to write. And that happens in any language, not just Spanish. You can always kind of make out what people are saying, or you can read. Most people can read, even if you don't know what you're reading. But to be able to say it or to be able to write it, those are 2 different things. Another issue, another challenge in learning Spanish is the fear of making mistakes. It happens to a lot of us. We're so afraid to make the mistake that we don't even want to say anything. We just like, no, I'm just gonna I have the whole entire sentence planned in my head, and I know exactly what I want to say, but what if they don't understand me? And then you freeze and don't say it. Well, guess what? I invite you to try that sentence today. Today, as soon as if there is a sentence that you really want to test, it's like anything. Just get a little scared, write it down, practice it, or even bring it in your flashcard and say, hey, I want to try this sentence. Quiero intentar esta oración. And then you just say your sentence. And then let's see the reaction you get when you do that. I want to hear it. And you're going to come back and tell me. Also, classroom time. When you take a class, whether you are taking 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, or you're doing all these things, nothing replaces stepping out of the classroom. You need the theory, you need the structure, you need the blueprint, but you also need to be able to come out of the classroom and use it. So being in Puerto Rico is a perfect opportunity for that because you are everywhere. You can just go anywhere and practice your Spanish. No one will ever question what you're saying. They will all get it and want to help you. Muy bien. The secret of pronunciation in Spanish is in the vowels, las vocales, as you see here, las vocales. Why is this so important? Because in Spanish, the vowels are short, tense, and clear. Short, tense, and clear. Think about something that is short, tense, and clear. I picture a guitar when you have the strings of the guitar and you hold the chord really tight. The sound is like tuk, versus if you let it be a little more loose, the sound is like right, it's a little longer. Well, that is the sound of your vowels in Spanish. In English, you might say A for the letter A, or la letra A en español es A. A. And notice that when I say A, I'm opening my entire diaphragm to say A, la letra A. La letra E is E. So we say A as in casa, tapa, Panamá. La letra E as in pet en inglés, elefante, perro, A, E. So start noticing the patterns. Comienza a notar los patronos. La letra I, como en sí, when you say sí, oh, I see, oh, I see. I. Esta letra, this letter is never that's inglés. Is English. I es español. A, E, I. Notice that when I say I, my cheekbones now are a little bit higher. And then the examples, cine, sí, comida. Cine, sí, comida. La letra O, never O. O is like oh, that's like two sounds. Oh. En español es un sonido. O. La letra O. Hacen la palabra for. Y decimos oso, profesor, solo, oso, profesor, solo. En la letra U, como en la palabra en inglés boot, decimos uno, tú, Cuba. So think about this. In English, you have A, E, I, O, U. And those sounds, you don't think about it, but they are double, they're more than one sound. If we were to write this in Spanish, like when people want to say the word baby in Espanol, when we hear the word baby, we picture baby being written with the letter E and the letter I, because we think it's baby. Where bay is one letter for you, the letter A. But for us, since we don't have those double sounds, we assume that that letter is two letters, A and E. Isn't that funny? So we say, so when people write to each other text in Spanish, they don't write baby like B-A-B-Y. They write it B-E-I-B-I, baby. That's, or maybe Y at the end, baby. Because the Y and the I in Spanish are the same sound. Okay, entonces, repeat after me. A, E, I, O, U. My name is Ana. It's not Anna or Anna, it's Ana. So my mouth stays the same, Ana. If your name is Debbie, it's Debbie. If your name is Jose, it's Jose. No, Jose. It's not Jose. Jose. Muy bien. Then I'm not going to really talk a lot about this diphthong thing. The only thing I would say about this is that we do have combinations of vowels in Spanish, just like I was just saying before, when you say the word baby, that for us, we would assume the word baby has two vowels because it's the only way that we create that double sound. So if you have two vowels in Spanish, there is always going to be one weak sound and one stronger. Like when you say baby, is bigger than the E. Like baby, we don't say baby, we say baby. So when you are in my class, we spend the first week learning our sounds. The first 2 sessions are learning sounds because this is everything in your pronunciation in Spanish. How to pronounce the words in Spanish, how do we make these sounds? So one of the biggest ones here is when I hear a lot of people say, hasta luego, hasta luego, hasta luego. We don't say hasta luego. We say hasta luego, luego. So it's not lue, it's lue, lue. Because the U and the I, as you see here, the letra I and la letra U are the weak vowels of the combination of vowels. So when you say, for example, a word like bien, bien, it's not bien, it's not bien, it's bien, bien. So the takes the higher sound. Bien, bien. So we say, oh, estoy bien, muy bien, not muy bien, bien. Puente, puente, which is a bridge. Puente, puente, not puente, but puente. And then the example that I just gave you with the word luego. Luego, see you later, hasta luego. It's not hasta luego, it's hasta luego, hasta luego. So always picture, and you will see when you're in my class, all my students learn to do the finger thing, the pointing up, because that's where your stress always goes. All the words have a stress. All the words have one syllable that has a stress, like where the strongest sound is in your word, right? So when you say luego, I'm not saying luego, I'm not saying luego, I say luego. So that's the power in lue. And is the most powerful sound in that word. So there is a science to that, and we will learn that in our class. Are you having fun? Remember, type your questions below. Okay, próximo. So the secret for Spanish pronunciation is something really interesting that we do in Spanish that is called the breath group, the breath group. And in the breath group, the one thing that you have to remember when you think about, most people don't understand what a breath group is. I need to take a breath. Okay, that is a breath, right? When I go, I take a breath, and then I hold that breath and I say as many words as I can. That's what you think we say. They're like, oh my God, Puerto Ricans speak so fast. I can't understand anything these people are saying. Where do you even breathe? We breathe. We breathe in between these breath groups. So what happens is that we soften some of the vowels and some of the consonants, and we put together some of the vowels. So the breath, so that words come out of one breath. So we don't take this awkward pauses where then a language that is a Romance language suddenly doesn't make sense. It doesn't flow. So por ejemplo, when I say, how are you? Pues en español es ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Would be very strange if a Spanish-speaking person says, hola, ¿cómo estás? We don't say ¿cómo estás? We also don't say ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Tampoco. No, we don't say that either. We say ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? We put the ¿cómo and the estás together, and we create the sound of the breath group, ¿cómo estás? So let's look at these examples. When you say vivo en Rincón, excuse me, we soften the V, so it's not vivo, it's B. And then we put the O and the E together, and we kind of soften this here. So we say vivo en Rincón, vivo en Rincón. This is how we will pronounce this, vivo en Rincón. Vivo en Rincón. ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? And this is a phrase that gives a lot of trouble to the English speakers, because there is for some reason your O, although you learn that we say la letra O, the only sound for the letra O is O, but your brain tells you to say dande, dande. Dande is an A for us. Dande, like it would be if we spell this with a D-A-N-D-E, dande, but it's donde, o, donde, de donde eres, ¿De dónde eres? And you notice something here. This word ends in la letra E. This word starts in la letra E, which means that then we are going to put those two E's together to create the breath group. And we say, ¿de dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? No, ¿de dónde eres? We don't say eres. We say eres. Eres. ¿De dónde eres? But we put it all together. ¿De dónde eres? ¿Dónde está el baño, por favor? So first you will learn how to say it one word by word. ¿Dónde está el baño? Por favor. ¿Dónde está el baño? Por favor. But then, when we put it in a breath group, we will say, ¿dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está el baño? And one thing that I notice people say a lot, and we'll come back to this, is that you think we don't pronounce our S's at the end of things, like, ¿cómo estás? Or ¿dónde está? We do. We do pronounce them. We don't say buena. We don't say buena. We say buena, but that S that we're saying at the end gets really kind of muffled into an ah. So we're saying buena. There's an ah there. So it's not buena. Buena alone is not, buena alone is just good. Like good one. But we're saying buenas. There is a really soft, subtle, start paying attention and you will hear that almost muted but still existent at the end of buenas. So when you say ¿dónde está el baño? You might hear Puerto Ricans and Spanish speakers say ¿dónde está? Está. These S's sometimes become really kind of swallow, but we still have them. Like we wouldn't say ¿dónde está? We still have a sound there. It just sounds more like está. ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está? Because we're going to put it all together. ¿Dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde está el baño? Por favor. ¿Dónde está el baño? Por favor. And the reason I have a V and a B here is because the V and the B in Spanish are the same sound, the sound of the letra B. Por favor. So this is your letra B. Muy bien. Preguntas hasta aquí. Put them in the comments below. Are you learning something fun and new? Poco a poco. Muy bien. Okay. Próxima. These are some of the sounds that can really get you in trouble in Spanish. Like I just mentioned earlier, this is the sound of the V and the B become one sound, B. As in Victor, we say, ven acá, come here, ven, not ven. We don't use the T's like the V. We say be. It's a mix. It's a mixture of both. But you're going to hear a lot more the B. And then you will get confused because you're, wait a minute, I don't hear that. I don't hear the V because we sound like a B. So this is Latin American, but it's definitely very, very used also in Puerto Rico. La letra H, letter H, is always silent in Spanish. So we have, I almost feel like I want to get out of this presentation mode so I can actually type in here for you. Let's see here if I can do that. Yes. So la letra H, if we say words like hotel, hola, hijo, all of these words are going to be, let me put some here also for B. Bueno, vino, vaca, bastante. Sí. So, ejemplos de la letra B en la letra V, same sound. Bueno, por ejemplo, if you say a good wine, un buen vino, so there is a variation there. Some people might have more V than others, you know, like the cowbell, more cowbell, but most of the time it's like more B. So we say bueno, vino, vaca, bastante. Vaca is cow, a cow. Bastante is enough, enough. Like, oh, that's enough. Thank you. Bastante. I'm doing pretty well. Bastante bien. Siempre silenciosa, la letra H. Hotel, hotel. Hola, hijo. Es your son. Mi hijo. Never hijo. No hijo, hijo. Muy bien. La letra J. So this letra is the name of this word is J. J. La letra J is like an H in English, but harder. Like the H of hat. Like when you say hat, but more like ha, like ha. So we think about jamón. Jamón, which is ham in English, jamón, juez, I don't know, let's say, jubilar. So la letra J es J. Decimos jamón, juez, jubilar. Ha. There is a little bit of more air coming, more friction than the H of hat. But very similar. So this J sounds like an H in English for hat. La letra C has two sounds. One is a soft sound as in casa. The other one is a hard sound as in casa, and a soft sound as in Cecilia. So I'm going to put both examples here, casa and Cecilia. Cecilia. Casa is K. Cecilia is the soft one. La letra G has the same exact thing. Two sounds. One of them is the hard sound as in when we say goma, which is a tire, like a tire on a car, or when we say genio, which is genius, genio. So there is a secret to this too, and we will learn all that in detail also in my program. But just you need to know that there are two sounds, and the sounds are going to be ga, go, gu, he, ka, ko, u, se, si. So the C before I, and the C before E, the C plus E, and the C plus I are pronounced as the S. And here, the G plus E, the GE, and the GI are pronounced as the H in English hat. So that's what we say genio versus goma, and that's what we say Cecilia versus casa. Okay, that's the part that I wanted to cover on the sounds, and I hope you're learning a lot. Now I wanted to go back to okay, it's 4:38. Do we have enough time? Okay, so the next thing I want to cover in the session is this use of ser and tener. Just very quickly, I will share with you here. When we talk about ourselves, talking about ourselves. Most of the time we're going to use the verb ser, which is to be. And most of you know that we have two forms of to be in Espanol, ser or estar. Ser is used for permanent things, for describing things that don't change. Whereas estar, a secret to always remember, estar is remembering when you ask a person, where are you staying? Because where a person is staying is temporary. It's like, I'm staying here. That's not where I live. I'm staying here. So estar sounds like it's to stay. So if you remember that, but it's a lot more than that. It's not just where you are, but it implies temporary. something that changes from the norm to a change, something that is a condition, like when you're sick, when you're upset, when you are here, when you are there, when something is supposed to look certain way and it doesn't look that way, we use estar. Ser is for everything that we expect to be the norm. Okay. And so what I wanted to talk about here is that when we talk about ourselves, if I say I am from I don't know, Canada, I'm from Canada, I would say yo soy de Canadá, Canadá, which in Spanish, we put the stress of that name on the last syllable, Canadá. Soy de Canadá. Soy de Canadá. So another thing that also you want to remember is that most of the time when you're learning to speak Spanish at the very beginning, when we're doing the baby steps, like learning how to stop in the word, you want to remember that most conversations you have with someone are a two-way conversation. It's me and you. So as long as you can, at the beginning, learn how to conjugate things for yo y tú, we can have a conversation with someone. Like, where are you from? How long have you been here? What do you like to do in your free time? Those are the kind of things that you do before you introduce a third person to the group. But in our class and in the first week, we learn how to introduce yourself, how to introduce how to ask questions for someone else, and how to introduce others in the group. So if you're, let's say that you meet someone and you're with your significant other and you say, oh, I want you to meet my girlfriend or my husband or my wife or whatever, or my sister, my cousin. And then you want to say a little bit about this person. How do you talk about a third person when they come into the conversation? But just for today, learning about ourselves, we say, yo soy de Canadá. Yo soy alto, alto, or alta, if you're a female. I'm tall, I am tall, I am tall. Disculpen. Hang on 1 second. I am tall. I am tall. And but then one thing that I wanted to bring here was that when we talk about our age, you say in English, you say I am I don't know, 35 years old, 35 years old. En español, we switch from the verb ser, and we go to a verb called tener. Tener. The verb tener. The verb tener means to have. And this is a problem that we have as Spanish speakers learning English, because we don't know this thing about saying, I am 35. We know how to say what we say in Spanish. So when we speak English for the first time, we tend to make this mistake and people don't know what we're talking about. So let me just explain to you why. Number one thing also to know is that the verbs ser and tener are what we consider irregular verbs because they don't conjugate like normal verbs. So you have to learn these verbs like from the beginning to end. Like some verbs you can assume what they are because they all have the same endings, but the verb tener, the verb ser, and even the verb estar, not so much as these two, but also they're verbs that you have to just learn the conjugations. So if you want to say the verb tener, I'm going to conjugate it for you here. We say yo tengo, tú tienes, tú tienes, tú tienes, él tiene, disculpen, él, ok, esto es él, ella, and usted tiene, nosotros tenemos, ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. Ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. ¿Qué significa esto? I have, You have. He, she, it, and you formal have. I mean, has. Nosotros tenemos. We have. They have. Feminine and masculine. They have. So this is saying to have. So think about this. If you're saying to have, but you're talking about you are, I am 35. I am 35. How would you say I am 35 if you need to use the verb tener? Well, you will go to I have and you will say yo tengo 35 años. Yo tengo 35 años. And then the natural question would be, and you? ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Y tú? ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? And the answer will be, tengo 28. Tengo 28 años. So you're having a conversation. One of you is 35. The other one is 28. So you will have this conversation here. I say, I'm 35. I'm 35. How old are you? And you say, oh, I am 28 years old. But we don't say yo soy 35. Yo soy. We say yo tengo. So we have to go to the verb tener and go to the person who's speaking. So look at the question that I asked the person. When I'm asking you, I say, how many years are you? How many years do you have, basically? How old are you? Well, the translation, the literal translation to this is, how many years do you have? It's literally what we're saying in Espanol. How many years do you have? ¿Cuántos años tienes? So I had to say, how old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? And then my answer would be, oh, I am 28. Yo tengo 35 años. Tengo 35 años. O yo tengo 35 años. Muy bien. I believe that is, did I want to talk about anything else today? Yeah. So if you want to, so this takes practice, and the suggestion I will give you is to create different scenarios. I am also going to give you the conjugation of the verb ser. I'm going to put it here for the verb ser. Ser. Yo soy. Tú eres. Él, ella, usted es. Nosotros somos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes son. And I'm going to clarify something also now. Let me also make all of this bold. Notice how I keep saying this thing about usted. Usted. We have usted, and we have usted, and we have ustedes. Usted is what we call in Spanish the formal you, because in English you say you for a person you know, but you also call you a person, the president of the United States. You call you an elderly person, because there is no difference. You might call them ma'am, or you might use something afterwards, but you is the same for both. In Spanish, there is a big difference between tú and usted. Tú is informal. Tú is the informal you. Informal you. And usted, this one here is the formal you. Usted, I'm going to put it next to it. Usted is the formal form of you. And what happens is that this usted conjugates different than the informal tú. And you're going to learn in our class that this is huge in the Latin culture, understanding the difference. And when you speak, you don't use a book, you don't write things. I hear you. So understanding how to speak in the formal you versus the informal you is key to also having a very good communication in Spanish. Because once we learn to conjugate, we don't use the él, ella, usted. The verb itself will tell us who is speaking. Like if you notice here, tú eres, usted es. If I say es, I know it's not going to be tú, because tú is for eres. The same way here, that tú es tienes, and usted es tiene. Usted tiene. Usted tiene. So it's very different than, so both conjugations are very, very key, and you have to learn both of them when you're speaking, because this is the difference for many, many things in Spanish that could keep you from getting into trouble. All right, so that is the end of my mini lesson for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Spanish Immersion Fast Track Intensive Spanish Program. So if you like this, and you want to learn, to continue to learn, and you're tired of learning on your own, you're tired of trying to figure out how to do all these things, how to get past the apps, and you go and you study on your own, and you practice, and when it's time to speak in front of someone, you freeze, or you are tired of learning on your own, basically, or want to get over the fear of speaking, or finally know that you have to do it with someone because alone it's not working. You have gotten to a place and you're in a plateau. I have a program that starts on February 10th. The program is my signature program called Spanish Fast Track Intensive Spanish 2.0. And it's called 2.0 because it's my updated program. And the program where it's a hybrid program where we go from beginner all the way to conversation in 12 weeks. The program starts on February 10th. There are only so many spaces available. This is a very small class, only for a very selected group of students who want to work together and pass the plateau and help each other. The program has the community. The program has me live for 12 weeks, teaching you live, online, live. And so we have a hybrid learning experience where we learn online, but we also meet in person every couple of weeks so we can have an experiential activity. We meet for lunch, or we go and do an activity where you can practice. We have a community only for you guys where all of your homework, all of your practice and resources will be shared. Excuse me. And what else? And we have implementation weeks where we practice together. It's super, super fun. I have 5 spaces available for that program. So now you're invited to join. So if you'd like to learn more about how to join my program after you watch this, please send me a direct message and I will send you a call, an invitation. I can tell you more about the program and you can ask me any questions. You can join the program for as little as $379 down. So if you are ready, let me know and I will send you all the information. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys today, and I would love to be part of your learning experience, your journey. I will be the one with you for the next 12 weeks, teaching you 3 times a week. The classes will meet on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. So if this sounds like something that could work for you and the timing works for you, I would love to hear from you. So please let me know, and te veo prontito. Nos vemos pronto. Un abrazo and take care. Adiós, chicos. Cuídense. Bye.